Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. This week is going to be sort of a hectic week for me, so I have no idea what the video shooting schedule is going to be like. I hope that in addition to this podcast, I'm able to pull off a recipe video. I know that there will not be a review video this week because here's what my schedule looks like, if any of you care, and I suspect some of you do. First off, today on Monday, we have a meeting with our lawyer to go over our will, get that updated, because we haven't updated that since the kids were kids, and now they're adults, so that kind of changes things a little bit. But we need to go over that in our estate planning. It's a necessary thing, and it's really, I think, something everybody should make sure they do. It is sort of uncomfortable, though. I mean, it forces you to kind of look at your own mortality, which isn't always the most fun. But like I said, it needs to be done. So that's Monday. On Tuesday, I'm hoping that I have my final treatment on the wart that is on my index finger on my left hand. Now, I know some of you have shared, as I've talked about this before, some of your home remedies. Honestly, this is way past home remedy time, and we're going to hit it with the big guns. In fact, we're going to hit it with a laser. I meant to do two fingers there for my Dr. Evil. So I had a planter's wart on my foot a number of years ago, and had to have the wart, well, it was multiple treatments. They tried freezing it. They tried the Candida, whatever it's called, to make it blister up. None of that was working, so they had to do the laser. And they start by giving a local anesthetic. What is that called? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank. I will either think of it or you will think of it, but it's a little local anesthetic shot. The thing is, on the bottom of your foot, where you would have a plantar wart, there is like zero soft tissue. It was the most painful shot I've ever had in my life. In fact, I just very briefly blacked out. I mean, everything just went gone, and then I got the little sparkles as I kind of came back to my awareness. Anyhow, I was just dripping with sweat. And they started the laser, and that hurt. And they said, well, apparently we didn't hit you with enough of this anesthetic. We need to give you another shot. And I said, you know what? The laser actually hurts less. So anyhow, we're having the index finger done. Hopefully that will be fixed, and then I can get back to playing guitar, because basically it feels like I've got a tiny little sliver of glass almost in my fingertip. Makes it very uncomfortable. Then on Wednesday, and this is the one I'm especially not looking forward to, is a urologist appointment where I'm having a cystoscopy. Now, I'll let you Google what cystoscopy is, and gentlemen, your toes will curl when you read what it is. But that has to be done on Wednesday. Then Thursday, we have the grandkids over, so big, busy week. Now, I realize that went on probably longer than I was expecting, and some of you, well, not many of you, a couple of you tend to complain whenever I talk about personal stuff, like non-keto related, non-food related, just what's going on in my life. And that's really kind of what this podcast is, largely. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and complaining about it isn't really going to do anything unless it makes you feel better. If it makes you feel better about yourself, then go ahead and complain. But it's not going to change what I do. Now, I've talked frequently about how much I enjoy comments, getting comments from you, especially on the podcast, the interactive sort of things. I'll ask a question, you'll answer, things like that. A couple of pointers, though, to help me make sure that I can read your comment and reply to it, reply to the question that you're asking or questions that you're asking. Some things that are helpful to me. First off, paragraph breaks. Sometimes I will get comments and or multiple questions just in this great big long wall of text. And I have a really hard time reading that. It just becomes sort of a blur to me. I'm not dyslexic, but for whatever reason, when there are not paragraph breaks, it makes it very difficult for me. And this dates way back. I remember back, I think it was in college, I read Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. And that entire book, I think, is like 3 chapters. There's just nothing but text. It just goes on and on and on forever. And I find it's hard for me to read. So tip number 1, paragraph breaks. Tip number 2, it is perfectly fine to break your comment into multiple comments, especially on the podcast, and especially if you have multiple questions that you want to ask. That also perfectly okay, and actually it makes it easier for me. Another thing that really, really helps me in terms of connecting with all of you is when you have a memorable username and or a memorable profile picture. So when I get a comment from someone and it's just like at user 67-M932 or something like that, and their profile picture is just a letter, it's like B or something, to me that there's no connection there. And I get that some people want that anonymity on the internet, and that's okay. But just be aware that I'm more likely to remember you, I'm more likely to respond to you, I am more likely to feel a personal connection to you if I recognize your username and I recognize your profile picture. All right, that's sort of it for the Serious Keto channel housekeeping sort of stuff. Now, a little family story. This is a short one, but it really was super awesome for me. On Friday mornings, Colton and Calvin's great-grandmother Sue comes over and picks up Colton and spends the morning with him. And she had come over last Friday, and Calvin was just waking up. He was coming out of his bedroom, his hair, he still had bedhead. And I was coming up the stairs from the basement, and Sue was standing there waiting for a hug from Calvin. He rushed right past her, and I was probably 3 steps down on the stairs, so I wound up being roughly the same height as Calvin. And he comes and he just gives me this great big hug, and a long hug. He just was holding on and holding on. It really, really reminded me of when Connor got back from basic training in the Army, the hug I gave him. It was like, I haven't seen you in forever, I've missed you so much. And that's the hug that Calvin gave me, and this is just one of the reasons why I love being a grandpa so much. Now, this is the point where I would normally insert a mid-roll ad, but this is going to be a shorter podcast. I think I just have 2 more topics left. One is one that I touch on probably a couple times a year, and it's body dysmorphia. It's interesting. When I was heavier and I looked at myself, I didn't see someone who was heavy. It didn't register with me. When I'd look in a mirror, when I'd see a picture, well, maybe when I'd see a picture. But now, when I look at myself in the mirror, I still see Fat Steve. So it's a weird thing, and I know some of you experience it as well. That's one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of taking before pictures and keeping them handy, because it's a great reminder of the distance that we've all come. But I saw an interesting thing in my Google News feed, and I should have saved it. If I find it again, I'll bring it up in the next podcast, and I will link to it. It was an article about a natural bodybuilding competition where everyone had been heavy before, or even morbidly obese, and lost a bunch of weight. So if you see them kind of like from about rib cage up, they look great. Muscular, tan, vascular, wonderful. But then you get down further and you see the leftover skin, which is something still 6.5 years on keto, I still have a little bit of an issue with. And it's more when I'm, borderline TMI, when I'm wearing shorts or pants but not a shirt or something, if I'm just in my underwear. And I think that the elastic waistband or the waistband on any pair of pants kind of then, the extra skin has no place to go except sort of over the pants or over the waistband. And, then I see it more versus if I'm just naked, this is the TMI part. And that's not that TMI. But then it's the skin can kind of go someplace. And it was cool to see that people that had really, really transformed themselves and gotten very muscular still had this issue with the extra skin. So if I can find that article again and some of those pictures, I will definitely bring that up next podcast and share the link with all of you. Now, the final thing, and this is the user interaction part we talked about before. I was thinking the other day about cheat meals. And is there a cheat meal that I haven't had in 6.5 years on keto that I really kind of crave? And that would be blueberry blintzes. So crepes wrapped around a cottage cheese mixture topped with, generally it's like a blueberry pie filling. I used to have this all the time as a child. Growing up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we'd go to the Village Inn restaurant after church. We'd go there for brunch. And from the first time I had the blueberry blintzes, that was all I had from then on. Just absolutely loved them. Haven't had them in 6.5 or more years, mainly because making crepes and then blintzes is sort of it's a time-consuming and labor-intensive effort that I'm not all that into. But that's what I really miss. So now it's your turn. I would like to know, since being on keto, is there a cheat meal, a favorite that you had pre-keto that you haven't treated yourself yet? Who knows? Maybe it's something that I could take your ideas and possibly make a recipe out of it. So let me know down in the comment below. Comments. Let me know down in the comments below. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, I really do appreciate our time, whether it's a short video or a long video. The fact that you're spending a little bit of your time with me, it means a lot. It means a lot. I really do appreciate all of you. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Thanks for taking the time to watch. And yeah, thanks for watching.